Hardpoint locked down. Hardpoint contested. We've lost the hardpoint. Mission timeline 50%.
Destroyed.
Your CUAV has departed the AO. Attack chopper.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Pixel and welcome to the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at Call of Duty Black Ops 4 running on the Sapphire Pulse RX Vega 56 graphics card. All the footage you are seeing has been recorded at 1440p at 60 frames per second using a capture card, and along with the Sapphire Pulse RX Vega 56, the system is also rocking the i9-7900X overclocked to 4.6 GHz with 32GB of DDR4 memory, and the game is running off an M.2 SSD. Now, before we talk about the multiplayer, zombies and Blackout, I want to quickly talk about the performance. For the majority of the clips you're about to see, we will have a performance overlay up in the top left corner of the video, along with a label showing what settings the game was running on at the time, be it maxed, lowest or optimized. As you will see, even fully maxed out, we have absolutely no trouble in holding a solid 60 frames per second, and with the optimized settings we're actually averaging around 110, and on the lowest settings we are just, well, we're flying high. Actually, I have to say that I was very surprised that each of the game modes performed almost identically with the same graphical settings, which is surprising when you consider the difference in scale and the other unique requirements for each mode. It appears, at least to me, that the inclusion of a Battle Royale mode has spawned some rather huge improvements to this game's engine. Visually, I think the game looks rather nice when you crank up the settings. By no means is it pushing any boundaries, but it is definitely consistent and has a subtle amount of stylization that definitely gives it character, especially in the zombies mode, where in certain areas, the game itself can look rather stunning. And Blackout pretty much sets a new standard when it comes to dealing with draw distances and popping mitigation in a Battle Royale game. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's move on and take a look at the game itself. Since each of these modes is basically its own game, we will focus on one at a time, starting with the bread and butter of each Call of Duty release, the multiplayer. Personally, I have never been a massive fan of many of the building blocks that make up the Call of Duty multiplayer experience. I really don't like stuff like kill streaks, overpowered character builds, and now the crazy specialist abilities and ultimates, but at the same time I've always loved the gunplay and the progression system, and that is why I still always end up jumping into multiplayer whenever a new Call of Duty releases. This time around we have also seen some fairly substantial changes to the core mechanics. Most of the weapons now have a set recoil pattern. You also have to manually heal rather than just waiting in cover, and even the time to kill has been increased by a fair amount, at least in theory. One big change since Black Ops 3 is that the advanced movement abilities have now been removed, so Black Ops 4 is pretty much a purely boots on the ground kind of experience. To be honest, I quite like some of the advanced movement mechanics that we've seen recently, but I can appreciate that it's certainly not for everybody. The maps themselves are alright, I suppose. I mean, there's 14 at launch, 10 of them being brand new and 4 of them being taken from the older games. For the most part, they follow the traditional 3-lane setup. They're quite small and designed in such a way that you're constantly going to be getting shot from multiple angles. I mean, like I said, they're alright, and that's about it. They get the job done. I will most likely look to complete the multiplayer to 100% by getting to max prestige, completing all the challenges and unlocking all the skins. Thankfully, the gunplay feels nice. I would go as far to say that it's some of the best that we've seen in recent years. But I do wish that Call of Duty would finally just tone back some of the kill streak and remove some of the specialists, but I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. What more is there to say here? If you like the previous Call of Duty multiplayers, you will likely enjoy this one as well. If you didn't, then I doubt this one's going to change your mind. So, moving on, let's have a bash at zombies. Personally, I have never really gotten into any Call of Duty zombies, but having spent a few hours in this version in order to record this footage, I have to admit, it hooked me. Like, seriously, it hooked me. It's kind of embarrassing really. I have spent thousands of hours in Call of Duty games over the years, and I have jumped into zombies quite a few times in the past, and I always just thought it was a basic wave-based horde mode where you buy weapons and try and survive. I completely missed out on so much about what makes this game so well loved. For instance, I had heard about the Easter eggs, but I never really paid much attention, thinking it was just little hidden things, not knowing that they are basically the fundamental component that's your entire motivation to play the game mode is based off. If you've got no idea what I'm talking about, let me explain. Each zombies map contains a lot of hidden objectives that are never really explained to you. If like me, you've probably just played the mode by shooting things, which leads to you missing out on what makes this mode so special. It was on complete accident that when playing with some random people online that ended up doing some of these objectives, I came across what made Call of Duty Zombies so popular. I certainly don't want to spoil anything in this video, so let's just leave it at that. The game itself ships with 3 maps, 9 which is set in Roman times, Voyage of Despair which is set on board the Titanic right after the iceberg hit, and Blood of the Dead which is a remake of a map called Mob of the Dead from Black Ops 2 I believe. If you get the season pass, you will also get access to a 4th map, Classified, which is the remake of the Pentagon map from the original Black Ops. Again, this mode really surprised me, so if you've not really made the dive into Call of Duty Zombies before, and you do indeed pick up Black Ops 4, please promise me that you will give it a try, because I'm hooked. I'm going to be playing this all year, I think. Now, let's have a look at the game mode that has spiked so many people's interest in Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and that mode is Blackout. This is Call of Duty's take on the Battle Royale formula that was popularised by games such as H1Z1, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and most recently Fortnite. The core concept is simple. A huge number of players parachute down onto an incredibly large map. They search for loot, avoid a hazard that shrinks the playable area, and survive in hopes of being the last man or team standing. The verdict? Pretty damn good, to be honest. But before I go any further, I just want to be clear that if I talk about any comparisons to other Battle Royale games, I am not including Fortnite as a comparison. It's a completely different game. We're mainly talking about games such as PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. We clear? Great. So, Battle Royale games have been blowing up over the last few years, and they have gained a huge player base because of it. Unfortunately, most of these games have suffered from, let's just say, a little bit of a lack of polish. This is where Blackout really stands out, since it's the first true AAA entry into the genre. Performance is surprisingly good, the visuals are consistent, and there are surprisingly few serious bugs. From a technical standpoint, Blackout is fairly solid, and as a result, it helps the genre take a big step forward. I know all this sounds like high praise, but it's certainly not a perfect mode. For example, I really don't like how much time you spend looking at the floor to pick things up. The whole looting mechanic and system is just really clunky and it takes a while to get used to. I also don't like how wide open the map is in so many different areas and how little time you get before the storm moves in. Oh, and don't get me started on the armor system. I don't like the armor system. Do these things impact how much I enjoy the game? Yes. Are they deal-breaking? No, though I do hope that we do see some of these things tweaked and improved moving forward. You see, the Battle Royale genre is still fairly young and developers are still trying to come to grips with what works and what doesn't. Take the looting system for example. It's slightly great on consoles, but it feels extremely limited on the PC. Blackout also adds a few additional features and mechanics of its own. Little things like zombies, the perk system and gadgets all add spice to what could have quite easily been just another BR clone. One thing I do wonder though is, will we see Blackout evolve and progress? Or are we going to see a new Battle Royale mode released with every single Call of Duty moving forward? I do see benefits of doing it both ways, but it would be nice to know either way, especially if you're going to be spending so much to gain access. So my conclusion, and this is going to get messy. In effect, this is 3 different games packaged as one. Personally, I like all 3 of the modes, so for me, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is definitely worth picking up. And I'm sure that anyone out there that already picks up the game each year for multiplayer or zombies will already know if they're going to get their money's worth as well. They just need to weigh up the removal of the single player campaign with the addition of Blackout. Where things get complicated is when we look at the people that traditionally don't like what Call of Duty has to offer, but are interested in Blackout. Multiplayer is still the same old multiplayer and zombies is still the same old zombies. If you've never liked them, it's incredibly unlikely that you're going to start now, so the question then becomes, is Blackout worth the asking price? And the answer is, I really don't know. It's good, very good in fact, but for what I think you're getting, it's certainly not cheap. Personally, I would have loved to have seen Blackout sold separately at about half the price of what we're seeing here, and I will be able to recommend it to you all day, every day. That said, if you love BR games, it's likely that you will want to get your hands on this anyway, so I doubt whatever I have to say in this video will have any bearing on your decision anyway. But with all that said, I have to say that I was very happy with the performance offered by the Sapphire Pulse RX Vega 56 graphics card while running at 4040p on all 3 game modes. Honestly, the card smashed it. 60 FPS rock solid at max settings, with plenty of room to tweak them settings if you want to push higher, maybe up to 120 and beyond. Now, unfortunately, this is going to be me done for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to slap that subscribe button if you've not done already, and if you did in fact like this video, then maybe you could consider liking this video. If you've got any questions or you would like to share your experience with Call of Duty Black Ops 4, then please do leave it in the comment section below this video. Once again, I have been Pixel, you have been awesome, and until next time, I will catch you later. Bye bye.